In a desperate bid to save face with the American people, Republican Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, along with the Republican chairman of the various committees leading the impeachment inquiry into President Biden, conducted a ridiculous press conference, but all they did was publicly contradict each other, flounder in the face of tough questions from the press, and repeatedly lie to everybody watching. But before we unpack all that, if you haven't yet, please hit that like, subscribe, and the alert bell. All right, folks, we have several clips to play. They are all from a press conference earlier this morning. It concerns primarily the impeachment inquiry into President Biden and comes in the aftermath of the 3 back-to-back-to-back bombshell updates, which occurred yesterday, which we discussed in a previous video, which humiliated the Republican Party. So this is a desperate bid to save face with the American people and to justify this partisan political witch hunt. But we'll play some of the clips and we'll unpack them together.
We owe it to the American people to continue this process, but to do it methodically and transparently. Many of you know I'm a lawyer, I'm a constitutional law attorney. I served on President Trump's impeachment defense team twice. And we lamented openly and we decried how the Democrats politicized that process. They were brazenly political and how they brought those meritless impeachment charges against the president. What you're seeing here is exactly the opposite.
So I just want to respond to this real quick because the real point of this clip comes at the end of it. But, Donald Trump was impeached, one, for attempting to pressure, to extort a foreign nation into investigating a political rival. That foreign nation was Ukraine. The extortion was by way of holding up congressionally approved funds for Ukraine's national defense. And it was allegedly to investigate Joe Biden's corruption, but the predicate for Joe Biden's corruption that Trump and Republicans talked about was known for years, and they didn't care about it until Joe Biden said that he was running for the presidency. And then Donald Trump, corrupt, malignant narcissist that he is, was desperate, was thirsty to gain any sort of advantage over the guy he assumed would be his rival in the end, and who was. Then the second impeachment came in the aftermath of the January 6, 2021 insurrection, which Donald Trump incited. And as we know, and Mike Johnson should appreciate this since he is an attorney, as he says, Colorado, the court in Colorado, as a matter of legal fact, found that Donald Trump is indeed an insurrectionist. So those two impeachments were absolutely meritus, not meritless. Before we go back to the clip, I should also remind you as a disclaimer, I am feeling very unwell, so if I sound strange, if I sound like I'm going through puberty again, just please bear with me. So let's continue.
We are the rule of law team. The Republican Party stands for the rule of law. And the people in charge of this are doing this thoroughly, carefully, methodically. They're investigating and gathering all the facts. And to do this appropriately and to do it in a manner that upholds our constitutional responsibility requires time. It requires a sound process. You don't rush something like this. You can't if you're going to have fidelity to the Constitution. These chairmen are committed to proceeding in that manner, and that's what you're seeing. We've heard from whistleblowers, Biden business associates, legal experts, and now we have reached the point in the investigation that we need to hear from a handful of really key witnesses in this. The chairmen have issued a few dozen subpoenas, and we expect that those are to be complied with in an expeditious manner. We're not prejudging this. We will follow the facts wherever they lead. Again, that's our constitutional duty. And I fully support our chairman and their efforts, and we'll have a lot more to share on this in the days ahead.
So he says, we're not prejudging this. We're following the facts. This is a completely unbiased investigation. So I actually want to rewind the clock back to the same press conference in which Elise Stefanik, who is one of the Republican leaders, okay, she's number 3, she took Liz Cheney's place, and that's Mike Johnson standing right beside her. He's about to talk. This was like 10 minutes before he took the podium. This is what she had to say about the impeachment inquiry into President Biden and the various investigations.
In pursuit of that sacred duty, House Republicans have worked tirelessly on behalf of the American people for months to deliver transparency following the money and the facts to uncover what I believe will prove to be one of the largest political corruption scandals of our lifetime and potentially in our nation's history.
That sure sounds like prejudging to me. That is somebody who is not just a random conservative. That is a Republican congresswoman who is standing alongside Mike Johnson as he said what we just saw him say. They are publicly contradicting themselves. Of course, they have prejudged this. And set aside the fact that, they say that they're the party of law and order. Meanwhile, they have openly said that they will support Donald Trump even if he is convicted of any of the some 90, 91, 92 federal charges against him. These people live in total cognitive dissonance, total hypocrisy. There's no end to it. This is the last clip I want to play in which Mike Johnson is humiliated by an incisive question asked from a reporter.
So you're going to see that as a continuing theme, and I'll leave it there for now. Hang on just a second. Let me go to the back. Let me go to the back. Yes, yeah.
The official act that was corrupt that Republicans are alleging today was that when he was vice president, Joe Biden pushed for the firing of the Ukrainian prosecutor. And this was the subject of the impeachment of Donald Trump. And you had a lot of State Department officials who came in and said, this wasn't Joe Biden's policy, this was our policy. He didn't do this to benefit his son. He did this because we wanted him to do it. So did they all commit perjury, or are you going to bring them back for more interviews? Why are Republicans just ignoring all that testimony?
So just in case you didn't hear it, because when I go to edit this, I don't know. That reporter doesn't have a microphone, so I don't know to what extent I can boost the audio. But the reporter asked, listen, at the heart of your allegations against President Biden is this idea that when his son was working for the Ukrainian energy company Burisma, that then Vice President Biden used his power to benefit his son by getting a Ukrainian prosecutor who was investigating Burisma, the company for which Hunter Biden worked, fired, okay? And yet, during the first impeachment of Donald Trump, multiple State Department officials swore under oath who worked for Trump, who worked for Obama, for whom Joe Biden was the vice president, that Joe Biden didn't do that Joe Biden was using pressure to effectuate official, formal Obama State Department policy, not to benefit his son, who, by the way, was not under investigation. The company Hunter Biden worked for had been at one point under investigation for a time frame from before Hunter Biden was even hired. Okay, so Hunter Biden at no point was under investigation by Ukraine. So what the reporter's saying is, listen, you had multiple bipartisan State Department officials testifying in complete contradiction to your allegation against Biden. So did they commit perjury? And if so, are you going to bring them back and interview them again or punish them? It's a good gotcha question because it emphasizes, you can see it on Mike Johnson's face. He's like, shit. That's a good point. So watch what he does.
No one's ignoring testimony. Let me tell you the top 4 pieces of evidence with regard to the Biden. I just got bullet points here. From 2014 to 2019, Biden family members and their affiliate companies received over $15 million from foreign companies and foreign nationals. These are all facts. Facts are stubborn things. That included Ukraine, Russia, Kazakhstan, Romania, and China. Biden business associates received an additional $9 million. The chairman here have uncovered a lot of facts. President Biden has, of course, lied at least 16 times about his involvement in his family's business schemes. There are at least 22 examples of Joe Biden speaking with or meeting with Hunter Biden's foreign business associates. The Oversight Committee recently released 2 checks. You see the graphics up here today. These checks are to Joe Biden. One is for $40,000 from China, and another is for $200,000 from a now bankrupt healthcare company that his brother James Biden apparently swindled. Listen.
So he just lied. He just straight up lied to the American people, and he moved the goalposts, and he didn't even answer the question. He's like, we're not ignoring testimony. Then he proceeds to not only ignore the testimony, but the question, and then deflects with a series of facts, okay? So note that. And then in order, okay, notice how he moves the goalposts. The Biden family, the Biden family, the Biden family. Well, private U.S. citizens engaging in financial transactions or interactions with foreign companies is not necessarily illegal. They actually have to prove that what was done was illegal, number one. Number two, even if it was illegal, they have to prove that Joe Biden was involved, right? So those are 2 major burdens of proof that they have failed to do. What they want to do is impeach Joe Biden for actions taken by people not Joe Biden that may or may not be illegal. And they've not proven that it was illegal. So just a wild moving of the goalposts. And then number 2, the checks that Mike Johnson was talking about. They were not from China, and they were not from some sort of bankrupt company. They were checks, loan repayments from James Biden, President Biden's brother, to Joe Biden. Not from China, not from another company, James Biden to Joe Biden. And according to independent reporting, according to House Democrats, according to everybody who's investigated this, The Republicans have the financial documents to prove that there were loans from Joe Biden to James Biden and that these checks were loan repayments from James back to Joe. So all of this is proven. All of this is a matter of fact. They have to bring the burden of proof to prove their claims, and they have failed spectacularly, and there's evidence that contradicts them. There's evidence to the contrary of their claims. And they just lied. They're like, Joe Biden, it's his name on the checks, and he got them from China. It's not true. Joe Biden's name's on the checks. He got them from a company that his brother swindled. Again, that's not true. So this press conference, as far as I'm concerned, was a desperate bid to save face, and all it did was just prove that the Republican Party is, at the end of the day, a total clown show, objective failures in terms of a responsible governing party. And so we should make fun of them every chance we get. Let me know what you think in the comments.